There it is.
UCLA football reloaded in year 2 under head coach DeShaun Foster. More than 50 new players, 8 new assistants, and one of the biggest names in college football now wearing blue and gold. Today, we'll sit down with Foster about how he's fast-tracking chemistry, and we'll hear from the star quarterback on the pressure and promise that come with the spotlight. This is the Bruin edition of the Big Ten Camp Tour, and it starts right now. A beautiful day here in Westwood, California, as the football facility at UCLA comes alive once again. The Bruins back on campus for the first practice after spending the last 2.5 weeks in Costa Mesa, a trip designed to accelerate team bonding. And that was no small goal given how many new faces are on this squad as we welcome you to the 15th stop on the Big Ten Football Training Camp Tour. Yogi, Roth, Ashley Adamson back with you here in a brand new revamped weight room at UCLA. So a lot of changes around here, over 50 new players, 8 new coaches. Excited to see how it's all going to fit together, Yogs.
Well, and you know the coaching staff has worked at making sure it can come together. It's one thing to have talent or have a nice new building, a new weight room, but can you put in the time, whether it's here, getting right physically, or connecting emotionally? And I know that's been a huge point of emphasis for DeShaun Foster. Cannot wait to hear how it plays out and talk to the players. And
that was, I think, the biggest thing for me is just how do you get those pieces? How do you accelerate cohesion in a time when you have so many new pieces that come together? Because the talent's there. It's just a matter of can it work together. I also heard there was some karaoke at Costa Mesa.
Big fan of
so
that.
I'm a big fan of that. We'll certainly be asking the guys about that. I think for me, I mean, the other thing that obviously everyone who's coming to UCLA who's excited to see, his name rhymes with Iamaleava. Yeah. Nico, the quarterback, has been making a lot of headlines.
And he should. I came out to practice a couple weeks ago, and you can tell it's just his first week within this offense. Now I can't wait to see where he is a couple weeks later, knowing Tino Sunseri, how dialed in his offense is. This is not 10 plays, 8 concepts. I mean, this is a detailed pro-style system. So how does he navigate that? Cannot wait. Have heard rave reviews. He also has a brand new offensive line for the most part here at UCLA. New offensive line coach. So a lot of pieces, they have the potential. How does it come together? We'll take a look.
What do you think you know about UCLA at this point?
Well, I just know that they've taken another step. I think if you look at year 1 with DeShaun Foster, it was a staff that came together late. It was a roster they was just trying to keep together. Now it's totally different. The bodies, I believe, look different from being here a couple weeks ago. The staff, I think, has taken a step up on both sides of the ball. So I'm looking forward to watch because they were in a bunch of games, right? They won 5 games that were within a score last year. Can they take that next step? I think they can. Want to go see a little bit of it today.
Yeah, they never quit last year, no matter how bad it got, and they were able to revamp. And the second half of the season was a much different story. We're looking forward to the next hour with the UCLA Bruins, but we begin with the man who changes, we think, the trajectory of this program in 2025. Expectations for this season skyrocketed the moment Nico Iamaleava chose UCLA. The 6'6", 5-star quarterback led Tennessee to its first 10-win season since '03 last year as a redshirt freshman. He was the most high-profile transfer, but certainly not the only playmaker UCLA brought in who can make an immediate impact. The Bruins also added running back Jaivian, a preseason Doak Walker candidate who comes over from Cal. And both of those guys here with us now to share some insight on how camp is going as we count down to the start of the 2025 season. Nico, Jaivian, great to see both of you. I was going to try and get the most controversial question out of the gate up front. Who is the best karaoke singer on this Bruins squad? But no, you're not giving up the goods.
I don't think there was that many good singers on our team, so I'm not going to do our teammates like that.
Okay, and I appreciate the honesty, too.
Yes,
That's good.
Yes,
all right. Well, you are a lot of good football players, and I know that there are a lot of bonds that were made in Costa Mesa. So let's start with that and your guys' time there together. I know you were rooming with defensive players. Coach was trying to mix it up and create some opportunities for bonding. What was your biggest takeaway, Jet?
Honestly, it was great. We had a lot of brotherhood. I did a great job of learning more players than I knew before. Got to know a lot more about the coaches. I feel like that was the biggest thing, and that's something that can help the team in the long run.
How hard is it to come in to a new environment and make sure that you're reaching out to guys? Hey, let me get to know your story, And did it come natural to both of you, new faces to this team this year?
For me, yeah, I think it came natural just because I knew a lot of guys on the team already. And we had relationships, prior to me coming here. So it was kind of easy transition coming in. And, a lot of guys on the team helped me out with that as well.
Yeah. It was a little different for me. I didn't really know anybody. I knew Mikey Matthews because we was at Cal together. But I say the guys did do a great job of bringing me in kind of quick, especially with the workouts. It was always competitive, and we all worked hard. So, it kind of eased me into it.
Nico, we're going to get a chance to talk to your new coordinator, Tino Sunseri, in a little bit. But I know that he's been excited about that. He said, he came in and he's a learner. Like you have a growth mindset. You're texting him late at night, asking all these questions. What have you learned from him? What's been the synergy in the relationship there as you guys have gotten to know each other?
Man, I've learned so much football since I've got here with Coach Tino. Just, I thought I knew football, but he opened my eyes to, a whole new avenue. And I think, it's just continuing to help my growth, and I've been getting real comfortable with the offense.
Yeah, you can tell just from being out at practice. I'm curious for you. Have you watched any of the old highlights of your head coach as a former running back, DeShaun Foster? You evaluating his game versus your game?
Yeah, I have. Coach Foss, around the time I first got here, he sent a highlight tape of his film in a group chat. And then Coach Foss, he was really that guy back in the day. So I credit him to that.
I love that he did that because a lot of players haven't seen it. If their coach played, they'd never seen it. But I'm glad that Sean Foster was making sure that you guys had seen it. A lot of people knew Jaden Ott's name last year at Cal. You were the more productive back for the Bears, and I think you closed out the season and scored a touchdown in 5 straight games. For UCLA fans that haven't seen you play yet, how would you describe what you bring?
I bring a lot of juice. I bring a lot of energy. I play hard. I play fast, and I'm just excited to see what I do this season.
Yeah, the jet. Where's it come from? And is it legit? Like, is it the jet?
Yeah, it's legit now. Y'all gonna see.
Yeah, I got it from my dad when I was younger. Followed me through high school and followed me through college. And I don't really hear my first name often no more. So
I like that as a broadcast. You're just gonna start ripping the jet all game long. I'm curious for you. There's a quote I think in quarterback play that is accurate of praise and blame are all the same. You're so talked about all of the time. What is your modality to navigate discussion around who you are and people trying to put labels on you that may have never even met you before?
I think, for people in the building, if, guys that really know me and, know how I am, a lot of this stuff outside, in the outside world, I can't control, but I can only control what, I do on a day-to-day basis and how I carry myself around my teammates. And, my teammates know me and what I bring to the table, and can't really focus on, the outside world.
Oh, you can tell. It just seems from watching practice 2 weeks ago to today or talking to the coaches, like, you just continue to evolve as a person within this scheme. You weren't here in the spring.
Yeah.
Do you feel a comfort level like now you have been here 4 years, even though you've only been practicing for?
Yeah, that fall camp was huge for me. I think it definitely helped my comfort level in the offense and just taking control more of the offense. And, that fall camp was a really big thing for me.
We got to ask you about your brother, your roommate, and also in the quarterback room, Madden. What's it like being able to be reunited with him first time in a few years? You've been on the same team.
Yeah, man, it's exciting, man. It feels so great to just have my little brother in the room with me. And, man, any nuggets, I could give them and, help him be a better person, better quarterback. I try to do that on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome. Can I just ask you the worst pronunciation you've heard of your last name?
But I've heard it all, man. I couldn't tell you. There's so many ways they butcher my last name, but pretty soon they'll be able to pronounce it.
Everyone's going to know it. Everyone's going to know it. Nico Iamaleava.
There you go.
There we go. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. It was
Appreciate
great to see you, and can't wait to watch you this season on the field.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Coming up, the new architect of the Bruins offense, Tino Sunseri. He's just getting started in Westwood, but his story with head coach DeShaun Foster goes way back. The UCLA training camp tour continues right after this. After averaging just 18 points per game last season, DeShaun Foster made the decisive move to bring in Tino Sunseri from Indiana to replace Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator here at UCLA. When he was at Indiana, Sunseri helped engineer a lethal offense that ranked second nationally, averaging over 41 points per game. He comes from a football family. His brother Vinny coaches at Florida, and his father Sal spent nearly 4 decades in the college and NFL ranks. And fun fact, it was actually through his dad's coaching with the Carolina Panthers that Tino Sunseri first met DeShaun Foster back in the day, the new offensive coordinator of the Bruins, joining us now. It's great to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome, and the access has been great. We really appreciate it. But let's start with this relationship with you and Coach Foster, because it does go back quite a few years. How old were you when you first met him?
I met Coach Foster when I was 10 years old, going into 6th grade. And my dad had just gotten the Carolina Panthers job. And the only time at that time I could be able to see my dad because he was working so hard was to be able to kind of go into work and be able to find work. So what my dad did is he put me down in the equipment room, and I was folding towels, I was cleaning laundry, I was setting up the field. Back in the day, there were screw-in cleats, I was screwing in cleats, and you'd be able to walk around the locker room, and there was guys in that locker room that weren't just competitors, they were commanders. They commanded presence, they commanded the room, and anybody that walked in that room at that time, we had a special team, they made you feel a part of that team. And Coach Foss was one of those guys from day one. As soon as I walked in there, he made me feel valued as a young guy. And he would ask how we were doing and ask what was going on with our school. And it just goes to show you, whenever you have a true relationship, it doesn't matter how many years you go, you can still have that same kind of relationship in the future.
I love that story, and I think, if you could go back and tell that 11-year-old version of yourself that you'd be out here being his offensive coordinator at UCLA, I don't know what he would say.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit crazy because the first thing they'd say is, you're on the West Coast, being from the Southeast. So it's been a true blessing, and being able to work for Coach every day has been awesome.
How has LA been as a fellow guy who spent time in Pennsylvania? Like summer at all? You got a newborn?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, it's been absolutely amazing. Whenever we came out here, one of the biggest things is, and I always tell everybody that I'm around, it's never the place that you go to, it's the people in which you surround yourself with that make a place special. And there's a lot of special people here at UCLA. From being able to be inside of the university to being able to be around Los Angeles, the people are special in the way that they work, the way that they welcome you, and that they want to be able to be. And something that was a little bit more dear to me is my son was born with clubfoot. And it was something that was a little bit shocking to us at first, and we got really educated really fast. And as we came out here, it was almost God sent. And we have one of the best specialists in the country here at UCLA. So me and my wife have been in the best care we could possibly be in, and they've taken unbelievable care of us. And so it's been able to allow me to be able to come in every day to come to work, and allow her to be able to feel comfortable with being able to know our boys being able to be safe and taken care of.
Tell us about your offensive philosophy, because I know we saw what you guys were able to do at Bloomington last year, and we know your pedigree. But for you, running this thing as a whole, what do you want it to look like?
Well, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to have a coach that had the same vision as I did. And whenever I got on the phone with Coach Foster, the first thing he talked about was running the football. And I said, Coach, we align perfectly. Because in order for us to be able to control the game on offense or any offense, you have to be able to control the line of scrimmage, and you have to be able to make sure that you have to be able to establish that. And that's what we want to be able to do. We want to be a physical football team. We want to be able to make sure that people come off that bus and they know that, shoot, we got to have our screws in our helmets tightened, and we got to be ready to be able to handle the trenches up front. But we also want to be able to make sure that they have to be able to guard every blade of grass on the field. So we want them to be able to make sure that they're stretching the field horizontally as we are vertically, and being able to have it to where we get the ball into space to our players one-on-one and allow our guys to be able to play one-on-one all day. And we'll take our matchups with those one-on-ones.
Okay, the guy throwing to those receivers and one-on-ones, he's your quarterback, Nico Iamaleava.
Yes, sir.
The world seems to paint an opinion on him in college football. I'm curious how you paint your conversations with him, because it seems like he's got the discipline and not necessarily pay attention to that, but there's a strategy. I'm sure there's a process involved from the time you met him, because you didn't have him in the spring.
Yes,
Catch us up to speed of how you two have forged a relationship and where it stands now, 2 weeks out.
Yes, sir. Well, the best thing about Nico is that he has a self-drive to himself. And the thing that I've been very, very blessed is I've been in a lot of different situations to where I've been around some guys that have a lot of very similar traits that he has, and how he wants to be able to operate and what he wants to be able to do. I'm a process-oriented guy, so the first thing I told him is, getting into the building is you need to be able to make sure to get acclimated to the people in the building. You need to get acclimated to the town. You need to be able to make sure that you feel comfortable with where you're going to, so that you can be able to make sure that timely manners, you can be able to be showing up early and knowing how much time that you need with that. And then after being able to really build the respect of being able to be in the building, now we can be able to really dive into the playbook. He's one of those guys he wants to be able to know all the answers. He's texting us at 11, 12 o'clock at night, watching the tape, being able to make sure that he's really in tune with what we're trying to be able to do. I'm one to be able to overly detail things, to be able to make sure that I give you the calculus book from day one. I'm not telling you how to add and subtract. I want to make sure that you know how to be able to do really, really hard problems from day one, so that you can consistently know where your solutions are from day one too. Mm-hmm. And as you start to be able to figure things out, now all of a sudden the offense starts to be able to take shape, because now all of a sudden what you're doing on the field is you're finding out all of your solutions to every single thing that a defense can do. Because regardless of what kind of logo you wear in the country, there's not as much as you're putting on the quarterback that we do at UCLA. I made sure of it, because that guy's handling the ball every snap. So he's an extension of us, and he needs to be able to go, and that's the kind of pressure that we put on him, but he has that pressure on himself.
Yeah, it was so fun. I get to go out to training camp week 1, watch you guys in Costa Mesa, and then come back today and watch him in practice. And you could just see the jump. I just imagine from an understanding of an offense, because that might have been practice 3, and here you are in 21 or whatever it is today. How have you seen him grow within the system you just described?
I've seen him grow every period. It's something to where for us, we really are pushing him to be able to say, you're only limited to what you allow yourself to be limited to, and how you go about being able to maximize your day. And whenever you're really being able to work, there isn't enough time in the day, regardless of what you're doing, if you're being able to do it to the best of your abilities. So I kind of put that urgency on him to be able to make sure that, hey, as soon as we wake up, there's something that we need to be doing that's going to be getting us ready to be able to play against Utah. Whether it's us being able to recover, it's us being able to learn what's going on inside the offense, or us being able to hang around our teammates to be able to continuously build that gel to where those guys want to be able to fight and scratch and claw for us in every single second of the game. That's what we need to be able to do. Because for him to be able to come in, there was all these reports out there about who he was, and the reports were about as far as you could possibly be of actually it was. And I can honestly say that because, shoot, I listened to the reports before he got here too. And then after I got to be able to talk to him for 5 minutes, I got to be able to see exactly what I needed to.
It's not always what the media says, that's for sure.
Amen.
Sir.
Coach, last thing for me, you've talked about your proud Sicilian heritage, and I know that part of that was being a busboy at your family's restaurant back in Pittsburgh, Bella Notte.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
yeah?
ma'am.
All right.
For sure.
What was your experience from that? Because we were just talking the other night that everyone should work in the food service industry at some point in their life. What was that experience like? What did you take from it?
Well, I took is this, be able to put your nose down, and there's always some kind of work to be had. There's either a table that needs to be clean, there's somebody that needs a drink refill, there's something that you can be able to do to be able to provide a service. And I think that it carries over to really in your real life workspace. There's always something that you can be able to improve on, essentially, is what I took away from it. Because whenever I was being able to run around, I wanted to be able to make sure to not let down my uncles. Because now you have a little bit more to it because it's a family of restaurant too. You don't want to allow those guys to be able to go all day and not being able to make sure that, hey, keep their standards. So it allowed myself to be able to understand of now being able to be in the building that it doesn't matter if you're a GA, if you're the offensive coordinator, if you're a position coach. Let's all pull the weight that we need to inside the building to be able to make sure that we're structured to be streamlined so that we can all be able to get to the end road, and our end result, which we want, is to win. It doesn't matter if you're in restaurant business or if you're in football. At the end of the day, you want to win. And the restaurant business is being able to make sure your sales are up.
I love that. Well, I think UCLA stock is up. Tino Sunseri, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Looking forward to August 30th against Utah. It's just around the corner. And congrats on little Sonny. He's adorable.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Fans certainly hoping Tino Sunseri can blend the old with the new. With just over a third of last year's production back, as you look at the numbers, that means plenty of room for UCLA's transfers and freshmen to make their mark right away. And they will need to for this team to get where they want to go. And Yogi, obviously a lot to unpack from what Tino Sunseri just told us. I appreciate that he admitted that he had a perception of Nico, his quarterback, before he came in and actually met him. For you, realistically, what do you think is the ceiling for this offense?
Well, I just go back a year from now, being at IU and thinking of Curtis Rourke and what is the realistic ceiling of that offense? One of the best offenses in America, top 10 Heisman quarterback, now in the National Football League. Like, there's no reason to think this can't be the same, because after watching practice, I think they have the quarterback who is a premier player in America. Let's not make any mistake about it. Nico Iamaleava is one of the top QBs in the country. Point blank. He can make every throw. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's played in huge games. I mean, he played in the college football playoff in Columbus against Ohio State, played in the vaunted SEC. He's able to navigate so many things at that position. And then you add in what Tino has done. I got to sit in a quarterback meeting earlier this morning. These two are dialed. I can't wait to watch this. So I'm not putting a ceiling on it, Ash. I mean, there's no reason why this offense can't be one of the tops in the Big Ten.
It's one thing to see 6'6" on the roster, and it's another thing to actually see it out on the field. And he is all of 6'6". Overall, your impressions from watching practice today and being in that meeting room, what do you think? What do you leave with?
Well, the first thing we did when we got to practice was follow Coach DiNardo right to the offensive line, led by Andy Kwan, who came over with Tino Sunseri. He's a new coach on this staff. This offensive line looks totally different than they did a year ago. One, maybe two returning starters, a bunch of faces in the transfer portal. You got 3, maybe 4 legit backs that are downhill slashers. And then at wideout, you bring back Quasi Gilmore. You have some returning receivers. You add in a couple extra players there. Tight ends are finally healthy again. So overall, there's not a lot of holes in this offense. That's my biggest takeaway. Their 5 wins that they had a year ago are all one-score games. They'll be in tight ones again. I just think more of them. I think there'll be more tight games. And this team sits right below the top tier to me in this league in terms of talent. Can't wait to watch it because Nico may be the difference.
The one thing that Tino Sunseri has is energy. And if that's contagious, I mean, he's out there. I feel like he just played a practice.
Yeah, pick quarterback, for a Panther.
Pick quarterbacks. Don't know what you're going to do with them. Still ahead from Westwood, the head man himself joining the set, DeShaun Foster, on lessons learned in year 1 and why year 2 already feels like a brand new chapter. The camp tour rolls on from UCLA next. Back at UCLA, and one thing that was clear in DeShaun Foster's debut season as head coach, that despite a brutal schedule that turned into a 1-5 start, he never lost the locker room. The team finished the year winning 4 of their last 6, just missing out on a bowl game. And while he's got a whole new team, certainly something to be said for the confidence the second half of last year gave the returning players. And to talk more about the confidence and connection of his team moving into 2025, the head coach of the Bruins, DeShaun Foster, joining us now. Coach, it is great to see you. Thanks so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming out. We appreciate it.
I got to say, there's so many things to talk to. Obviously, there's a lot of new faces, both your players and a lot of new coaches. But one of the things that you changed up this year is you guys got out of here for 2.5 weeks. You just got back from Costa Mesa. So walk us through why you chose to go away and what was the biggest learning from it?
I just feel like when you get away for training camp, it really brings the team together, you know, and it was just something that resonated with me from being in the NFL. And we used to go to South Carolina every year to Wofford College and just find a way for the team to come together because, you know, each year in the NFL, it's a new team. And college football is getting closer and closer to the NFL model. And losing 42 seniors, I wanted to make sure that my team and my new coaches can come and break bread together and really just come together and become a team.
A lot of those guys talked about the vulnerability that you showed and kind of opening up some space to share stories and connect. And I think there was some fun that was had, too. It sounds like there was a little bit of karaoke. Just walk me through kind of the space that you tried to create intentionally for those bonds to connect.
We had just different events. So we had a beach day, karaoke day. Also, just we had the first time we went out to dinner and just had everybody just sit, and you sit with somebody opposite of your own defense, and you're with the offensive guy, just to have guys come together. And then each night we had each coach go up and present their why, on why they're coaching and just why they're in this business. And that's when things really it's when everybody really came together. I started it off and just letting them know, like, we're just like you guys. We've been through ups and downs, and I think that really resonated with our team, and they can see, like, okay, they're not just old farts. They've actually been around ball for a while. So it was just good to see a team come together and enjoy it as it went.
Were there moments as the head coach where you're watching practice down in Costa Mesa, you're saying, all right, I'm kind of seeing it come together, where it's guys, whether they're walking off the field or in the huddle, and if so, any specific ones?
It was just, each day was something new. It could be somebody on the sideline, you're just hearing him stay positive and repeating something that he heard the night before from a coach, or it could just be, like you said, the guys are hustling on the field, the way they're running on and off the field. But it was our last practice was our best practice, and I just love the way that they came out and really wanted to finish it on a good note.
You know, it's an interesting note because we are in the transactional era of college football, and I think at times it can be throw your hands up, like you just got to go play because we got to get these guys up to speed X's and O's wise, versus, hey, the same things still allow teams to win, which is connection, as you referenced, Ash. Have you been surprised with how well they've connected, or do you think, like, because so many people are new, that they actually yearn to get to know one another?
It was a little bit of both. I was surprised, and you can tell that they were gravitating towards it. Like, this is what they want to do. And once you get a team like that, the sky's the limit. So it just felt good that we were actually able to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish in training camp, on and off the field. And now we're just, in this next 2 weeks of just getting ready for Utah.
Nico Iamaleava, obviously the big headline in the offseason. We had a chance to talk with him earlier. What have you noticed about him? Because I think you can think you know a guy, you can watch his film, but then when he comes in, there's always new things that you learn. So what have you learned about him and his kind of unique trait?
Well, let's dap that up for that last name. Good job there with that.
I'm practicing.
And he's just a leader. I've been around Julius Peppers, and he's not somebody that he's 6'7", but you can tell he might not want to be that size. But he just has a personality, and people just gravitate to him. And Nico's the same way. He just gets his team ready to go, gets the offense. You can see he's inserting his leadership each day. It's coming, and now that last practice, he was chirping at the defense a little bit. Like, it was fun just to see his personality come out. But he's a competitor, and I just can't wait to see him in live action.
Okay, let's talk about leadership and personalities coming out, because it feels like watching you, who've known you for a long time now as an assistant, as a head coach over the last 2 years, what does it feel like in year 2 with You have some time, and you were hired so late. Seemingly, you changed obviously elements of the staff. Kind of curious as you're observing from the practice field or walking into different meetings, what it's like to be you.
Just my confidence is up, on and off the field, and it just come from experience. And, you know, and being in year 2 that I have that experience, so I'm ready to go. but it's just everything is growth, you know, and you're going to see the same growth that you see in me, and you're going to see that in my team.
And I do think confidence is contagious, and certainly when it starts with the head coach. What did you learn? I think you can get a lot of input from your network. I'm sure you had a lot of advice. You know the game as well as anyone, but to sit in that head chair for the first time, there's nothing that can fully prepare you for it. So did you learn anything about yourself last year?
The motivation aspect, just able to get these guys ready to go each week. There were some dark times. You know, we went on a little skid in the middle of the season, and they still were preparing and coming out to practice. You would have had no idea what our record was. So I think that was one of the pieces that I was like, okay. I knew I could do it with my running back group. It's just a little different with a 105 or 120 where we were at last season. So it was just cool to know that I am able to motivate them.
I'll tell you what's been cool is like you got a basketball hoop here in the team room, you got a new weight room, you got new practice fields, a lot of new happening here in year 2 for you. What can you share about the next phase of UCLA football and what you've led here?
Just continue to make it visible. So I wanted to redo the locker room. We did that. I redid the weight room first. Then I'm doing the field. I need the grass field because we play on grass. And then we're going to redo the locker room right after that. But just want the best for these guys. You know, I'm a Bruin, and I want them to have the top-notch, state-of-the-art locker room, weight room, and field. So anything I can do to make sure that my players have that, I'm going to continue to do it.
I like that. And who's the best free throw shooter? I mean, what are we doing here on the team?
Everything is me here.
Yeah,
so.
Okay, all right. So high school hoop game, that's you.
Yes, it's who they got to beat me. I'm like the big boss at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I think we got to get you. I'd like to see a game between the two of you because I didn't know for a long time that Yogi was a big hooper.
Yeah, you know, I'm okay. You know, good team guy.
This is similar to our brotherhood because I just learned something new right now about Yogi.
There you go.
Dap that up. There we go. There we go.
Last thing for me, Coach, I loved what you said the other day. I heard you talking about an hour, like it's an hourglass. Some guys have more time than others. And I think the point of urgency and getting people to play like every snap, nothing is guaranteed in this game, as you know. Just the mindset and the urgency and the discipline that you are trying to instill these guys. Where are you, or where are they, I should say?
I don't want to compare it to last season, but we're just ahead of where we were at that time, at this time last year. And it's all up to the players. You know, they're completely bought in. They're just eager each day to get more knowledge and get more information and figure out ways to just be disciplined, because I constantly am just reiterating to them that discipline is what stopped us from being successful last season. Yeah. And if we can figure that part out, I think this team can make some noise.
Good. Well, we're excited. We are eager to watch you. I'm also eager to watch this one-on-one that's about to happen. Set. So
we'll play horse.
You guys go stretch.
Safety. Exactly. Long season.
Our age is it's horse now.
Coach Foster, thank you so much for the time and the access. It's been terrific to be with your team, and best of luck this season.
No, thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Next up, we flip to the other side of the ball, UCLA's new look defense. We'll sit down with two of the stars to find out what's different this year and how they plan to set the tone. Back at UCLA, it is a new look defense, but the Bruins have no shortage of experience coming in. Isaiah Chisholm transferred in after starting 12 games at Oregon State a year ago. Ben Perry played 42 games at Louisville. The secondary added a couple of vets in Brian Threats and Key Lawrence. But when it comes to setting the identity, well, that falls on the guys who have been here and know this program best, and a couple of those guys are with us now. JonJon Vaughns and Gary Smith III. Gentlemen, a couple of redshirt seniors that know what this program is all about. It's great to see you.
Great to see you as well.
I got to ask you about Costa Mesa. First things first, it was nice to sleep in your own bed last night.
Oh, yeah, sure. Needed it.
Needed it.
Sure.
Tell me about what that experience was, because we've talked to a lot of different guys and coaches about how bonding it was, but what's a memory that you'll take with you from that?
Part of the brotherhood. We had brotherhood every night, just talking about each other's stories, broken into groups, and just talk about our stories and got to know each other.
No, for sure. That was definitely fun. You get to talk to a lot of different coaches you probably wouldn't talk to on a day-to-day basis. You get to learn a little bit about them and know their story and why they do what they do. So that was always fun.
How have you seen that impact the current roster with so many new faces that Ashley just referenced?
So since, you got a whole lot of new faces on the team, you got to be able to we got to click fast, especially with the transfer portal and how it is nowadays. So, it was fun. You get to know people, and we're all in one spot. So it was just an experience for sure.
Gary, I think about the journey that you've been on, and I know that you are eager to get back on that field and actually play in a game. You've been out for over a year. How are you feeling, first of all? And I think no one would choose to get injured, obviously, but I think whenever you talk to people who have sat out, there's always growth and there's something that they learned. So what has the experience been?
No, for sure. I definitely learned a lot. I had to learn a lot about myself, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally. I'm just happy to be back, fly around with the guys like JonJon, Vaughns. You know, it's going to be a fun year. I'm excited. You
have an infectious personality. You play behind him. I'm curious what he's like.
Man, I love playing behind him. Not gonna lie to you. Take up the double teams and all that and let me fly around.
For sure.
Okay.
This is the first season that you're really able to focus on football. You were a baseball player, a two-sport athlete here at UCLA, which you must have more time in the day than the rest of us.
Yeah.
What has it been like to be able to put all your energy? What does it mean to now just be a football player?
I mean, it means everything. Just my body feels good, not just going back and forth, and I'm very conditioned, and I can play all 60 plays instead of just half the plays, you know, and just getting in that playbook, I'm very sharp at it, and not a lot of mental mistakes and all that, so everything's like just coming in and building that and just playing with the guys, being closer with them and having a connection with them.
It's got to be fun in training camp to watch so many of your former teammates playing in the National Football League.
No, for sure.
Like Swessinger, right? You got a version of him. You might be that this year. I think Liatu Latu or Jay Toia. When you look back on your time with those guys now playing in the NFL, what do you think they left you with, and how are you trying to make sure the standard continue to raises?
Part of just no regrets, playing full speed at your limits, give all 100% each play, and just have fun.
See, all those guys you named, they're leaders, both on and off the field. That's something I take away from those guys. And, you know, I feel like to make it to that level, that's what you have to be. And, you know, I'm just trying to follow in their footsteps and get with the guys, hopefully team up with them one day.
Yeah, I think that's the plan for a lot of these guys on this roster. JonJon, I think a lot of people, you talk about some of the talent that you lost last year to the NFL. People wonder what the linebacker room was going to look like, but it seems like that's one of the deepest and most talented positions that you guys have.
I mean, it's just next man up. We got Chisholm, we got J9, Jalen Woods, we got Ben Perry. We have 12 linebackers. It's stacking, and we're just going to keep rotating and playing fast and physical.
You talked a lot about leaders. There's a new face on this team in Nico Iamaleava. First time you met him, curious what that experience was like for you two.
The first time I met him, I think it was like when he first got here in summer workouts. I just walked up to him, shook his hand. I was like, what's up, man? Like, how was Tennessee? Because, you know, I'm from Tennessee, just talking to him. And we knew a lot of the same guys. He was just a good dude, like good person on and off the field, very humble, he just works hard, and I'm just excited to have him on our squad.
Yep. I met him during high school. He was always watching us practice at Bosco, so I met him a long time ago, so I already knew how he was and how he is.
And I'm sure he's going to make you guys better and this whole defense better going against him in practice. All right, well, it was awesome spending some time with you guys. Thank you so much for giving us the access, and we're wishing you the best of luck and looking forward to watching you guys all out this year.
Thank you so much.
Still ahead on this Bruin edition of the Big Ten Training Camp Tour, we'll hear from defensive coordinator Ikaika Malloe on the identity he wants this unit to have and how he's pushing them to play with an edge. One of the most beautiful campuses in the country, UCLA is our home for stop number 15 on the Big Ten Football Training Camp Tour. And the Bruins just wrapped up practice number 15 as we welcome the defensive coordinator, Ikaika Malloe, to the set. Coach, it's great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for letting us spend some time with you and watching your team. You guys just spent the last 2.5 weeks in Costa Mesa, and I know there was a lot of work that was done there, both from a bonding standpoint and from a football standpoint. So first day back on campus, how'd practice go out there today?
It went well. You know, we're still trying to, one, compete against each other, but two, we're slowly starting to move towards game planning mode and whatnot. And so everything that we've gathered for the last 2 weeks out in Costa Mesa, now we're trying to put it into context in terms of personnel, in terms of scheme eventually. And then, you know, I know you mentioned earlier, drill to skill. That to me is kind of what we're trying to accomplish this week, really fine-tuning the details of what will make us successful on Saturdays.
Let's dive deeper into that. Drill the skill. What exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, so for us, it's really something I've learned back when I was at University of Washington with Coach Peterson, and it's a drill that creates a skill that applies to Saturday. And I'll give you a great example, and I was at fault for doing it as well. As a defensive line coach, I did a lot of bag drills so we can warm players up. And what was happening was, we wanted to show clips of where that applied on Saturday. And I thought Coach Peterson was joking, but he wasn't. And he was like, no, you just wasted 5 minutes of someone's time that we could have taught something. So something that we normally have used as warm-up, so to speak, has now become a skill set that is still in a warm-up mentality. So now we would do block destruction, we would do tackling, we would do cut, and we would do pass rush in terms of our drill to skill with the defense. And now we are teaching muscle memory that takes no cardio at all, but it still applies to Saturday.
A skill in any team setting is one of relationships. You've been that way everywhere you have been. Ashley, you referenced Costa Mesa. There was a lot of talk around how the team and coaches were vulnerable, came together, shared their why, part of their story. Got a lot of new faces.
A lot of new faces.
Schlesinger's not showing up this fall, sadly, for you anymore. What have you noticed about what it's done to this group?
It's really carried over to the field. So we have this brotherhood. And like you mentioned, coaches got really vulnerable, and the interesting part about it is everybody understands that, that'll be my story to tell and mine alone. So when coaches got to a vulnerable state, we didn't have players doing the social media where it's like Instagram and I want to tell you what I just heard. It's something like really special for us. And as coaches, we expect you to keep that vulnerability to yourself. And what's starting to do is it transcends to the field now. People are actually playing for other people. And you can kind of see the payoff with that.
What have you seen with DeShaun Foster in his second year as a head coach?
Improved tremendously. I think he and I are actually really on the same page. Myself going into my second year and Coach Foster going into his second year, and that whole do more. I think both of us were on the same page. Like, how can he be a better head coach? And starting from media day, way back when in July, and he got up on the mic again, right? And this was a different story for him. No different than me. Like, what can I do in terms of the details of everything else that we've done defensively, and still meeting the expectations of success?
Got to ask you about Gary Smith.
Yeah.
He hasn't been on the field for a while for you.
Wow.
But he's the first one that stood out to me watching practice. What has he been like for you?
Well, the foundation will be up front. And Gary is the one that has been doing it, from when he got injured to when he got re-injured. And then now where his mentality is at, I think the defense is really riding off of him. So you kind of got a figurehead up front, and then you got the energy with Key Lawrence in the back. But for Gary, his whole mindset is, how can I make sure like the A to A gaps is all his? And it'll be really interesting to see how he performs this year.
I know you're excited to not only have him back, but Keanu Lawrence as well, the interior of the defensive line. When you look at what you have left to do that you want to get done before opening against Utah in just a couple of weeks, what is it? What's the number one thing?
Really get the rust off of those two. 'Cause the good thing is they knew a lot of what we've taught already. So there's no relearning things. They're just kind of readjusting to what was and what is, and then gaining their confidence back. So anytime you deal with a bottom half injury, no matter where it is on your body, it always takes some confidence building, because you have no choice at D-line. You will make contact, period. So for them to get over that hump, I think that's what I'm really trying to accomplish. And both of them are really good right now. They're running at full speed, and they're excited about getting out on the field together. And then Ciale has been awesome. He's kind of found his niche in terms of where he fits in with those three guys. And again, the foundation will be those three.
Good. Well, we are looking forward to watching it. Wait, real quick before we let you go, did you sing any karaoke in Costa Mesa?
No, I did a lot of karaoke out on the field, and because of it, I lost my voice.
Okay.
No, I'm not a singer. I like acting like karaoke. I love acting like I can sing. No different than I'm going on a golf course in July and acting like I can golf. Same difference. So, I'm more entertainment for everybody else while I enjoy myself.
Act as if. Well, thank you so much, Coach. We appreciate your time, and best of luck this season.
Thank you so much.
And so as you look at some of the numbers from 2023 to 2024, you can see that some of those improvements that they made while they took a step back. The one that really jumps out there is red zone, last in the Big Ten in red zone stops. So plenty of room for improvement, Yogi. But you get the sense when you listen to Ikaika Malloe, it's the same thing as DeShaun Foster. Year 2 in this role, there's more confidence. It feels like they have a plan. They learned a lot from last year, and they've got a lot of new pieces with a lot of experience.
Yeah, and they had the hardest schedule you could argue in the country last year. And Carson Swessinger, who's now balling in the National Football League, wasn't a starting linebacker until a few weeks into the season. So I think you put all that into context, and you look at the roster and you say, well, there's not a lot of names that I remember from a year ago, but guys that have been within this program for a few years. JonJon Vaughns, one of them, Gary Smith III. He stood out to me. Beginning of practice, went down to the defensive line. How can they hang in the trenches with teams in the Big Ten? And it stood out. I mean, they got 3 big-time transfers that I think will impact the edges or the interior defensive front. Linebacker, they're going to be extremely productive, Vaughns being the leader of that group. And the back end is brand new, but I think it's more improved. I really do. There's a lot of games that went the other way, I think, late in games, or a misread or a missed tackle. I think this defense has a chance to take a jump next year. Like I'm just bullish on it after watching them practice. They're bigger, they're longer, they're more physical than we saw them a year ago.
Well, and I think when you look back at last year, we showed you some of those numbers, but the reason they won the games that they won is because their defense really kept them in it. I mean, they were the reason why they were able to finish the season in the way that they did. For you, where's the strength? Where's the core strength of this D?
I think it's the front 7 right now. Jethro Franklin, he's their new defensive line coach. I've known Jethro for a long time. He coached in the NFL. He's coached all over college. I mean, he is a true teacher. You go watch his drills, and then you see the size and the physicality of that group, and they have more depth than I thought. It's one thing to have 2 or 3 players in your defensive front, but in this league, it's a long, physical, grueling schedule. There's 7, 8 players I think will really produce for them this fall. Their linebackers have some experience. They have some speed. And if you know Ikaika Malloe, he'll find the best way to use the skill of his defensive players. Eventually, one of his linebackers who maybe struggles in space, he'll just be coming off the edge on 3rd down. Like, he'll have packages that will be felt. And that's what was fun about even calling their games, Ash, because they're truly game planning opponents' offenses. And I think when you do that on defense, just play your traditional defense, I think gives you an advantage. That's what UCLA lands on, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they're going to have their hands full week 1 at the Rose Bowl against a very stout Utah team. There's no question about that. Been a terrific day so far, and we're going to close it out next by circling UCLA's schedule. Which games could define DeShaun Foster's 2nd season, and where does Yogi see the biggest swing moments for the Bruins? That's coming up next. Well, we are counting down the days from UCLA kicking off a brand new season here at this iconic venue. August 30th against Utah is the season opener under the lights here at the Rose Bowl, 8 p.m. local kick on Fox. Let's take a look at UCLA's full schedule. Year 2 under DeShaun Foster. They've faced 3 teams that won double-digit games a year ago, UNLV, Penn State, and Indiana, before November even starts. And then down the stretch, trips to Ohio State and USC, plus Washington and Nebraska at home. So pessimists say might see a lot of landmines, but Yogi, Roth, my optimist, sees a lot of opportunity. When you look at that schedule, which games do you circle as the one that may define how this season is looked back upon?
Well, I think if you love college football, you got to circle Penn State coming to the Rose Bowl. Like, you can just see the colors. It's going to feel like an old school Rose Bowl to a certain degree, and that will also be a moment. You go back to that game in Happy Valley a year ago, and that's much closer early on than the way that game ended up. So I'll be curious to that, because they had a backup quarterback in that game. They got Nico Iamaleava in this one this year. It'll be an incredible environment. But I think, honestly, it's the start for this team where I lean into, Ash. The game against Utah is going to be an extremely physical game. They know that. Morgan Scalley, Kyle Whittingham, we know that team. They're going to bring a ton of pressure. How does UCLA navigate that? And can they get into Big Ten play undefeated? Can they beat Northwestern? And then imagine that game against Penn State. Are they unscathed? I mean, there's worlds where you can go either way in that, but I think there is a world where they can get to that game undefeated.
I think outside expectations, people aren't sure what it's going to look like in year 2. There's so many new faces. There's 8 new coaches. We've been talking about it for the last hour. For you, realistically, what do you think this team is going to look like in 2025?
Well, I think they're just going to be continually improving. I mean, watching DeShaun Foster out on the practice field, one of my biggest takeaways was he just really looks like he's been here now and he's a seasoned head coach. And he referenced that in our conversation with him, just constant growth, whether that's being vulnerable, whether that's growing within the team. We're watching him grow as a head coach. And I think it's a real treat as a fan of a game to watch your coach grow and evolve over time. I think this program has taken another leap in that regard. And I think they'll continue to do it. You know, where he took the thing over, when he took it over, now with Tino Sunseri in this offense, a bunch of new faces on the offensive line, and a revamped defense. this is just going to be an exciting team to watch this fall.
Yeah, it is going to be exciting. And I think the question is, can you just put one foot in front of the other and really make sure that you are taking care of your business, as DeShaun Foster talks about every single day, and not missing a moment? When you think about the urgency that he's trying to get his team to play with, and the discipline is something that he uses over and over and over again, what do you think this team from a whole, from that perspective, from the DNA traits of the UCLA football program, where are they?
Well, I know that was really frustrating a year ago. I mean, his pillars are discipline, respect, and enthusiasm, and the discipline of late in a ball game and not getting a bad penalty. I mean, there were so many of those in some of their tight losses late. You heard him talking about it on the practice field earlier today as well. And those are the things in the Big Ten. 31 games last year in conference play decided by a score or less. UCLA in a bunch of those games. That's just how it works. So you're going to have to play really clean. And when you have a bunch of new players who haven't been in that arena together, that's a question mark. That's a legitimate question. So I think we'll just have to see it. They're trying to create as many of those situations as possible, right? A competitive cauldron out on the practice field. He's doing a nice job of orchestrating that, but we'll see when eventually they get the game time.
Yeah, when you have all of these new different puzzle pieces, putting them together is always, especially now in this day and age. I remember a few years ago when Deion Sanders brought in 47 people from the portal, and everyone was going, what on earth? And now that's just the way that it goes, and that's the way that it seems like it's going to be for college football moving forward. We will see how it comes together for UCLA, how it's coming together for us next. We are headed to USC for the next stop on the training camp tour. We're heading across town where Lincoln Riley and the Trojans are gearing up for what they hope is a return to glory. A big thank you, though, to everyone here at UCLA for the access and hospitality. They've been terrific. Andrew Sinatra, Andrew Wagner, Vinny Lavalciti. We love you guys. Appreciate you very much. That's a wrap from Westwood. For Yogi Roth, I'm Ashley Adamson. Thank you so much for watching.